Hey YouTube land, it's Tychondrus here. Welcome to another action figure review. Well, it's more Transformer review, but it's not a knockoff Transformer. It's from a toy line from a company called Happywell Toys. Now, I'm not sure when they made these. I think it was early 2000s, maybe mid 2000s. Um, so, well, mid early 2000s. Um, Essentially what it is, it's a 1:18 scale Transformer, so it's pretty much in scale with figure lines such as G.I. Joe and Core Elite and other sort of 1:18 to 4-inch scale figures. And it's kind of like a mishmash of Transformers meets Gundam, kind of, especially when you'll see the head design, and then for scale wise, it's more like the Michael Bay style Transformers in scale for height with human characters for the 1:18 scale. So they basically come in this big window style box. Now this box is quite old. You can see that it's, if I flip it down there, you see some fading on the artwork at the top there. It should be a brighter yellow than this, I'm assuming. And then if I just flip it around to the back of the box, it just has all the legalese stuff, and in fact it says Happywell 2009, so it would have been just the end of the first part of the early 2000s. So, and you have 1:18, it's a Corvette C6R, and then you have instructions on how to place batteries on the actual lights and sounds part. And then you have the images of the robot, and then just a couple of images of the car in car mode. So it's pretty much the same on the side of the boxes, just shows different options of the different images of the car in car mode and the robot as well. So onto the scale, or onto the size of the car. So from the front bumper to the back bumper in car mode, it's about 9 inches in length, and from the top of from the wheel to the top of the roof, it's just a little hair under 3 inches. So I'm not sure how that scales up to the real life Corvette, since that's a model of car we don't get over here in Ireland. It's a European, or it's American brand car. We generally don't see too many Corvettes over here in Europe and in Ireland in general. So there is lights and sounds gimmick. Now you may be forgiven that the lights are at the front, but it's actually in the rear. So there's a hidden button just here behind, on the back window panel, just in front of the spoiler. And when you press it, it just has this kind of racing sound. Now the other thing about these is they don't actually fit 3 3/4 or 1:18 scale figures. I have, just for demonstration purposes, my spare wetsuit figure that has no legs on it. So in order to get them to fit in, you have to remove the lower legs, because they don't have the clearance underneath here for the actual legs to fit in with the figure. So you, just to give the appearance there's a driver in there, you can use most 3 1/4 inch or 1:18 scale figures, but if you can remove the legs on them, it's a lot easier. For ones that you can't remove the legs on, you probably won't be able to fit these in. You can just about fit the core figures in as well. They're a little bit more bulky. Just move the door slightly more ajar. Here is one of the kind of the Rise of Cobra figures. You see, the problem is there's not much room in the underneath here to actually squish the figure in. You could probably fit them in without the lower legs. So if you have a figure that you can remove the lower legs on, you'd probably be able to fit them in that way. But other than that, you can't really fit figures in without having to remove lower legs, which is a bit of a shame. It would have been cool if you could get them to fit. So transformation wise, you have to remove a few panels and pieces before you can start the transformation. So if I just open up the boot here, you have to remove this part. You have to open up this. This piece is a bit hard to get out, so I'll do it last. You have to remove this front panel off the bonnet, and then remove this front piece. And then, as I said, you have to remove this piece, which is a bit of a pain, to remove. It's a bit stuck in there, so it might make a crunchy sound when I remove it. And then you're left with this for the main shell of the robot. So you also have an additional weapon in under here. Oh, and there's two other parts that you have to remove before transformation. So if you just open the doors, these side pieces of the car needs to be removed. What is interesting on the inside, instead of having a passenger seat, it actually has like a nitro kind of setup. And the engine is in the back of the car, which I think is where the engines are in the real life version of the car. So for transformation mode, it's fairly simplistic. So there's these little tabs under here, the little pegs where the little holes where the peg on the bottom of the windscreen plug in. You just fold out the legs and you rotate them around, and you have most of the foot done. You just fold out this grey piece underneath, rotate that around, and then there's like a little bit of a heel spur that rotates out as well. And that's pretty much the lower legs done. And then you can just take the doors and rotate them around so that the windows kind of face forward, kind of giving it armoured skirts. You can even see the head in underneath here. And then top windscreen, just fold up and rotate all the way around the back, and just sits on the back. And then for the rest, you just fold down these arms, so you can fold them up and fold them out to the side. You have to kind of, it's like a double fold. So we do a bit better on this side. So there's a hinge here, and then just fold this out again, and a hinge just here, so it folds out, and then the arms just swing down, and then the head just pops up like this and rotates around. And as you can see, it has a very more, instead of a Transformers look to the head, it has a very more Gundam-ish look to the head. And then for the hands, there is a panel here at the back. Just fold open this little tab so you can get the hand out and just close it up again. Same on the opposite side. So fold out and then down. So that's most of the robot mode done. There is one final piece. You get the front, the bonnet. You have these peg holes here that peg onto the piece up here, and then that's essentially him in robot mode. And then for the weapons, you just angle this up a bit so you can actually see him. So for the weapons, you have this gun that these plug into onto the side. There's little peg holes as well. Now the instructions shows it up on the shoulder. You can put it on the shoulder, but you can also put it in the arm. This thing is like the rear spoiler becomes a shield. It also has a little fold out collapsible kind of handle, and it basically just clicks into the hand. But I prefer to put this up on the shoulder as kind of a shoulder guard, and then give it the weapon for the gun for his hand instead of putting the gun up in the shoulder. So he has sort of an arm weapon, or a projectile weapon, whereas this kind of piece folds out underneath what was the front bonnet, or the front bumper. This extra piece extends, gives this kind of claw look to it. And then what you do is, there's two pegs on the front of where the engine block is, and it just pegs into place quite tightly. And there's a handle underneath, so when you press this kind of crown thing on the center of the engine block, it makes kind of more explosion sounds. There's only the one sound, but that is designed to peg into the hand, and you can rotate it around, or you can move the hand up. It's a bit heavy, so it tends to droop the hand a bit, but all in all, it's quite cool. As I said, he does get a little top heavy with that big weapon in his hand. You could probably just store it up here as well if you wanted to, but it just looks really awkward. So there is that. You don't actually have to have him with it on. You can leave it off as well. There is no other kind of storage that I've seen so far for the weapon, but overall he's quite cool. just so I can get him scaled up to a couple of G.I. Joe figures and a core figure. You can see what height he comes in at, so he does look pretty tall and he does kind of scale up quite nicely with those figures. And then just so you can see the scale overall, bring back in the measuring tape. So in robot mode he stands just around 10.5, just a little over, I'd say just a little over 10, between 10 and 10.5 inches tall. So he's quite a tall robot. As I said, he does tend to scale up quite nicely to the G.I. Joe stuff. Bear with me there a moment, I'm just going to angle up the camera once more. But if I just bring him in a bit closer, it might focus in on the head sculpt. But as I said, it has more very Gundam head. So for articulation, you have a rotation in the head. You do kind of have a hinge, but that's more to the transformation. The arms can go forward. There's single joints in the elbow. There is a rotation or swivel in the wrist. There is a slight hinge just because of the transformation. The arms generally don't tend to go out to the side or anything. You kind of slightly hinge them a slight bit. Legs do go forward, and there's a knee. It's only a single jointed knee, and there's rotation just above the knee, and then you have kind of articulation in the feet, but it's more again due to the transformation because this goes back at the back of the leg. So, and you do have kind of a splits as well. He can go out to the side a small bit, and he has these front skirts that kind of move forward when you move the leg forward as well, so it's to give him that extra range of movement. So all in all, it's a really cool figure. They do other cars on the line. Most of them are all brand name cars. So you have a Toyota Supra. I think there's a Toyota Celica as well. I have the Supra, and I'm not sure if the other one is the Celica. I have two Toyotas, and I can't remember which one is which version of the Toyota it is. They also have a Hummer, which I have, which is really cool. I've seen a Land Cruiser, which looks cool. Doesn't look as detailed as these. It looks a bit more blocky and more kind of parts forming, or not parts forming, more shell forming. And then there's a Mitsubishi, I think it's a Lancer. There's a Lamborghini, and I think there's one other, either Corvette or another style of supercar. I can't remember which one it is, but there's not too many in the 1:18 scale. They do a lot of 1 to, I think it's 1:32 or is it 1:24 scale stuff as well. You also do motorbikes in 1:12 scale, so they do a lot of kind of transforming robots in different scales. And I have seen other ones that were more recent, which were kind of more along the lines of triple changers that have both car mode, a robot mode, and an animal form. But the way they're designed is, instead of being like a solid robot that connects together, they're like kind of building blocks that you put the kind of shell of the car around it, or the shell of the creature around it, or the shell of the robot. So you have like a main body piece, and just add on bits through blocks. So I've seen those, but I have seen them online, but I haven't seen them in person. But all in all, I think that's a really cool transformer. If you can pick up these, I do recommend getting them. The only problem with them is they can be very pricey, especially the 1:18 scale stuff, since they're so old. I've seen them for anywhere between 50 to 120 in euros and sterling. You usually find them on the eBay, on the European eBay sites, because I think they sold a lot more in Europe than they did in the US. But you do pick them up, see them occasionally on the US site. Again, they do tend to sell for quite outrageous prices because of the scale, because they do fit in with, as I said, the G.I. Joes and stuff like that, and they tend to be quite pricey. I lucked out on this one. I found a seller online that had just literally listed it as a buy it now for 10 sterling. So I jumped on it at the time. But usually this guy, even the Corvette, tends to go for 60 plus. So it is what it is. Let me just move his skirt piece back down while knocking over it. Duke. But overall, it is a great figure. It doesn't feel too flimsy. The plastic is a bit, I wouldn't say it's Hasbro quality solid plastic like you get in Transformers, but it is a bit more kind of a soft. I wouldn't say softer, but it feels a little bit more brittle. But it doesn't feel brittle to the point where it just will snap straight off, kind of thing. But overall, they are pretty cool. As I said, I have a few other ones of this line. I may review those as well. Um, but there is a few other people online here on YouTube that have reviewed other ones. I've seen a lot of reviews seem to be in Spanish and in French and stuff like that. So it does kind of harken back to my idea that they sold more in Europe than they did in Ireland and UK and in the US. So it is something to watch out for if you are looking for videos on these guys. They tend to be in kind of different languages, but all in all, it's a good figure. So do recommend picking them up if you can find them cheap enough. I wouldn't say go out and like buy the first one that you can for like ludicrous prices. If you can, try and bide your time and pick them up slowly as they come available. But overall, I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. So there you go, just a quick video review for, well, a quickish video review for the RoadBot Happywell Toys robots with lights and sound, and it's the 1 to 18 scale Corvette C6R. So as I say in my videos, please feel free to like, comment and subscribe to my channel, and I'll try and get back to as many comments as I can. Cheers, guys.